Good afternoon. Welcome to another segment of the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. Today is Thursday, June the 12th, 2014. I want to talk about two topics today. One is the New York Rangers' victory last night over the LA Kings. And two, why the NBA is not the NFL and will never be. All right, let's start with the Rangers. I hate it when I'm right. I told you all, I told you. When it comes to hockey, the goaltender is basically the quarterback. That's the most important position in the sport. If you get great, see, in hockey, here's the key, folks. If you get great goaltending covers up a lot of other mistakes. You can get away with a lot of mistakes when you got good or great goaltending. But if your goaltending is not good, you can't make any mistakes in hockey. Okay? Last night was the perfect example. The Rangers jumped on the Kings again, scoring two early goals, getting a 2-0 lead. Okay? Then the Kings scored a goal in that, I believe it was the second period. And then they had this furious rally. I mean, they pretty much controlled the puck all of the third period. But they could not get that second goal in because why? Henrik Lundqvist stood on his head. I told you, hockey is about the goaltending, folks. You give me the goaltending, I'm going to tell you a team that can go pretty far. And that was what the Rangers was getting up until these finals. They was getting excellent goaltending. Top-notch goaltending. Or I would not just say top-notch, I would say really pretty good goaltending because Henrik Lundqvist has been better than he has been in these playoffs. That's why the Rangers went so many games to get to this point, okay? I mean, I looked at the stats today of Jonathan Quick in these postseason, and I looked at the stats of Henrik Lundqvist. Now, Jonathan Quick is giving up an average of 3 goals a game in these playoffs, while Henrik Lundqvist he's giving up an average of just slightly over 2 goals a game. But here's a big key. On 4 or more goals that the opponents have scored, Jonathan Quick has given, in 6 games, he's given up 4 or more goals out of 25 games in the 25 postseason games they played so far. He's given up 4 or more goals in 6 of them. Now, Henrik Lundqvist has given up 4 more goals in 5 of them. Now, you would say, well, that's not a big difference. Well, actually it is, and here's why. If you're the Rangers, that needed to be a big difference. The problem is that they're only 1 apart is why the Rangers is down 3-1 in this series. See, Henrik Lundqvist, he's got to be stellar. For the Rangers to win this cup, he has to be stellar. Last night, he was stellar. That's why the Rangers escaped with a victory. Okay? He has to be stellar again in Friday. And here's my warning to the Kings. Okay, yes, you're up 3-1 in this series. But you better treat Game 5, which is tomorrow night, Friday night in LA, you better treat that as your Game 7. Because if you don't, you will be in a Game 7. Okay? I'm calling it right now. If you don't treat Game 5 as your Game 7, you will be in a Game 7. Believe that. When I come back, I'm going to talk about why the NBA is not the NFL and why they will never be the NFL. Welcome back. Today is again Thursday, June the 12th, 2014. All right. Why the NBA is not the NFL and why they will never be. Unfortunately for Adam Silver seems like a very good man. I love the way he handled the whole Donald Sterling controversy that took place a couple of months ago. Okay? Especially right as the playoffs started or as it just got into the postseason started. That's when the controversy hit, and to me, he's handled it with a plum. He's handled it perfectly. But unfortunately for him, he's dealing with some headwinds that he has little control over. Number one was Donald Sterling's one day, oh, I'm going to sell the team. The next day, no, I'm fighting to keep the team. Okay? And what is really aggravating if you're Adam Silver is that, hey, you're having a great finals. You got two more or less evenly matched teams duking it out right here. You've had a pretty good postseason to date, including the finals. And yet at halftime of Game 3, they're in Miami. Sage Steele, a reporter for ESPN, the only questions she had for Adam Silver were questions about Donald Sterling. And you could see Adam Silver, even though in a very nice way, he was very, very upset. He was saying, instead of talking about the great series that we've had and even great postseason, we're talking about Donald Sterling. And you would think that Sage Steele would have got the message and moved on and started asking him questions about the game, but no, it was more questions about Donald Sterling. So now you would think, if you're Adam Silver, okay, I just got to deal with the Donald Sterling issue, fine. Except Stephen A. Smith, a couple of days ago, reported, say 2 days ago, reported that LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony wants to team up together, either in Miami or in New York. Okay? And that has now taken a life of its own. Because after that, now Brian Windhorst, who reports down there in Miami, because he basically follows LeBron James. Okay, because when LeBron was in Cleveland, Brian Windhorst reported for Cleveland. When LeBron went to Miami, Brian Windhorst reports down there in Miami. But there are discussions in the Miami organization about adding Carmelo Anthony to this current team of the Big Three. See, this is why you're never going to be the NFL. If you're Adam Silver, you got to be annoyed by this, because here's why. Outside news that have nothing to do with the finals is taking precedence over the finals. We're not talking about the great series that the Spurs and the Heat is having or the great playoffs that the NBA has had today. What are we talking about? Donald Sterling and Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James wanting to hook up together. Never mind that Carmelo Anthony is not playing. He's home watching these postseason. Never mind that LeBron James is in the finals. And the Heat is in the finals. This will not be happening in the NFL. The NFL never devalues their big games. If you notice, during the Super Bowl, you don't hear no other talk of anything un-Super Bowl related in the NFL. You don't hear coaches being hired or fired during the Super Bowl week. There's reasons why, folks. That matter is taking place before Super Bowl weekend, before the whole Super Bowl festivities, because usually it's a 2-week period. During that 2-week period, you don't hear nothing but news about the Super Bowl. There's reasons why. The NFL don't want no news that's going to trump their Super Bowl. They don't want no news that trumps their big games. And this is why I say the NBA will never be there, because see, this nonsense will not be happening if this was the NFL. The NFL, you wouldn't be hearing about Donald Sterling during Super Bowl week. Or even during a lot of their playoffs. You would have heard maybe a few days about Donald Sterling, and then after a while they would have pushed it on the back burner until after the postseason. If this was the NFL. But it's because it's the NBA, you're hearing about it almost every week ad nauseum. And now you're going to bring in the whole Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James fiasco. And I'm going to get to that in a minute about how I think this is all going to play out in a minute. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But it's just annoying that we can't sit back and enjoy the games for what they are without hearing some news about this or hearing some news about that. If I am Adam Silver, I am putting out a message to all 32 teams, including the players. If it has nothing to do with the finals, don't do anything or don't talk about it. And let it hold off until the end of until at least the postseason is over. Because to me, you're ruining your game. To me, these NBA guys don't realize you're ruining your game this way. You're turning people off. I mean, NBA, how could you? It's like you're devaluing your own big games. How? Because what do you think people are going to be talking about tonight? Here, LeBron has already been asked about possibly forming the Big Four. Chris Bosh just been asked, so God knows who else has been asked. And I'm going to say this to LeBron. LeBron, you're bringing this on yourself. Because where is Stephen A. Smith getting this information from? Stephen A. isn't getting this from some secondhand sources outside of your camp. Stephen A. is getting it from your camp and Carmelo's camp. And if you guys lose the finals, who do you think is going to get blamed here, LeBron? You will. You say you're the person that everybody loves to hate. You're giving them reasons to hate you. This is not the time nor the place for it. And now all of a sudden, oh, well, I don't want to think that far ahead. I'm trying to concentrate on the Spurs. But wait a minute. Why are your people telling Stephen A. about this? And why is Stephen A. not being smart enough to say, let's wait until the end of the finals before I break these type of news? And I love Stephen A. Smith, but to me, Stephen A. is wrong on this. Wait until the end of the finals. And now Miami, not knowing what the hell's going on, now all of a sudden is leaking it out there, because they leaked that to Brian Windhorst and Mark Stein. Come on, let's be really honest. They leaked that information. They wanted it out there to put it in Carmelo's head to come to Miami, to keep LeBron James from leaving Miami, because they now know LeBron wants to hook up with Carmelo Anthony. They know this. Okay? If Stephen A. is reporting it, they know it because why? Stephen A. was the first one who accurately reported 4 years ago, in 2010, that LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, that the deal was already in the works for them to go down to Miami. Okay? While LeBron and them, oh no, we're going through the whole free agent process and this, that, and the other. No, the deal was already in the works. And it was Stephen A. who broke the news when a lot of people thought, oh, it's going to be New York. He was the one who said, and I'll remember it as if it happened yesterday, LeBron's not coming to New York. And now thinking back on it, it made perfect sense why LeBron in 2010 wasn't coming to New York. There was two main reasons why. Well, three. Reason number one, you didn't have a Carmelo Anthony in place in New York. You had a bunch of role players. Danilo Gallinari and a bunch of role players. I'm sorry, that's not going to let... So in other words, you don't have no championship pedigree there. Secondly, okay, you had Wade already working on him, Riley secretly working on him, so you already had these guys collaborating. So he gave his word to Wade and Riley, and LeBron is a man of his word from what I'm hearing. And third, look who's doing the pitch. Wade, Riley, what do they both have in common? Ring. Or they had a ring. Donnie Walsh and the Knicks brass, no rings. See the difference? So those were the three reasons why LeBron was not coming to New York in 2010. But then now, once Stephen A. reported 2 days ago that LeBron and Carmelo wanted to hook up, they wanted to hook up, and he was 95% certain it was going to happen if certain things took place, particularly if Carmelo opted in or re-signed with the Knicks. He says he was 80% certain that LeBron would end up in New York if Carmelo re-signed with the Knicks. So to keep LeBron in Miami now floating this, well, we'll bring in Carmelo and form the Big Four. Oh, where do I begin with this? All right, I always like to play devil's advocate, the what-if scenario. Let's just play devil's advocate for a second, and let's see how this is going to work. So now let me get this right. You're going to have Carmelo, Wade, Bosh, and LeBron. Now, in order for that to work, Wade, Bosh, LeBron must all opt out, including Carmelo. But let's assume Carmelo's going to opt out. That's the easy scenario. Okay? Wade, LeBron, and Bosh must all opt out. That's even the easy scenario. But here's where it now all starts to get dicey. They all, and I mean all, must take salary cuts. Reduction in their salary. Now for LeBron, that's not a problem. LeBron just made $30 million off that Beats by Apple deal, or Beats to Apple deal, okay? LeBron just made $30 million off of that. LeBron's making so much money off the court, so the reduction in the salary is no big deal to LeBron on the court. So LeBron, that's a given. He may take less money if you're bringing in Carmelo. But now it gets dicey here with Wade and Bosh. Because now you're asking Wade to take about, and I ran the numbers last night, okay? The Miami Heat this season, has paid out about $86,898,481 in salary and roughly around $50 million in luxury tax. All right, we do the math. That's $136,293,544 this year they paid out in both salary as well as the luxury tax, because they were over both.